Around the World in 80 Days, Chapter 2. The Strangest Bet of the Century. In the evening, London began to change. The noise of the morning faded away. There were fewer carriages in the streets. Lamps lit up one after another, their warm golden glow reflecting on the wet cobblestones. But inside the Reform Club, almost nothing changed. The heavy armchairs stood exactly where they always had been. Newspapers were stacked neatly on the tables. The air smelled of coffee, polished wood, and old paper. Phileas Fogg sat in his usual chair, as always. He opened his newspaper and calmly turned the page. Around him, several gentlemen were discussing the biggest news of the day: transport, new railways, new steamships, new routes. The world was becoming smaller. A fresh newspaper lay on the table. On the front page was an article that almost everyone in London seemed to be talking about that evening. The world was changing faster than people could get used to it. The article explained that the railway across India had finally been completed. The last missing section had connected the route. Now, trains, steamships, and transport lines formed an almost continuous chain around the globe. The newspaper claimed.
It is now possible to travel around the world in 80 days.
To some people, it sounded like the future. To others, it seemed completely unrealistic,
Listen to this.
said one gentleman, adjusting his glasses.
The newspaper says a person can travel around the world in just 80 days.
Laughter spread around the table.
80 days? Impossible. Even trains in England are late sometimes. What about storms? What about lost luggage? What about illness? What about government officials?
Someone placed his cup on the table.
There's bound to be a delay somewhere.
The gentlemen continued arguing. Only one man seemed completely uninterested. Fogg calmly kept reading.
And what do you think, Mr. Fogg?
One of the gentlemen finally asked. Fogg looked up.
It is possible.
He replied quietly. The conversation stopped at once. It was as if someone had suddenly closed a door on a noisy street.
Are you serious?
Asked the gentleman.
Completely. But how?
Fogg carefully folded his newspaper.
A timetable already exists.
He picked up a pencil, pulled the newspaper closer, and began to speak as calmly as if he were explaining the way to the next street.
London to Suez, Suez to Bombay, Bombay to Calcutta, Hong Kong, Japan, America, and back to England.
He listed the cities without hesitation: trains, steamships, departure times, connections. The longer he spoke, the quieter the table became.
It looks good on paper,
One gentleman said with a smile.
but real life doesn't follow a timetable. Sometimes a good timetable is enough.
Fogg replied calmly. Silence again. Then one of the gentlemen leaned forward.
If you are so sure, why don't you try it yourself?
Someone smiled. Someone chuckled softly. Everyone waited for his answer. Fogg didn't hesitate for a second.
Very well.
The smiles disappeared.
Excuse me? I am ready to leave.
Now nobody was laughing.
You mean actually leave? Yes. When?
Fogg glanced at his watch.
Today.
Someone nearly dropped his cup.
Today. It is 8:45.
Fogg said calmly.
I still have enough time.
Suddenly, the discussion was no longer a game. One gentleman slowly removed his glasses.
Are you willing to bet money on his? Of course.
Fogg replied. For a few seconds, nobody spoke. Then the amount was announced. £20,000. The room seemed to freeze. It was not just money. It was a fortune. Someone laughed nervously. Someone put down a cup a little too hard. One gentleman even asked again.
You are willing to risk £20,000 because of a train timetable?
Fogg adjusted his glass.
I am not taking a risk.
He said calmly.
I am making a calculation.
Now the gentleman looked at him differently. A few minutes earlier, they had been talking to an ordinary gentleman. Now they were sitting in front of a man who was ready to place a huge fortune on an accuracy of clocks, trains, and the modern world itself. Some thought he was mad. Others thought he was a genius. But nobody laughed any more. Fogg picked up his newspaper again, as if nothing unusual had happened.
I will be back in 80 days.
He said. Then he stood up, adjusted his glass, looked at his watch, and quietly left the club. Meanwhile, Passepartout was at home, carefully putting his belongings away. Shorts in one place, jackets in another. He smiled.
At last, a peaceful life.
He said softly. Outside, the rain was getting heavier. London slowly disappeared into the grey evening, and the city still had no idea that in just a few hours a journey would begin, a journey that the whole world would soon be talking about.